Hi everyone, welcome to the Crossover Podcast. I am your host, Evangelist Stephanie Williams, and it is Relationship Talk tonight. I hope you are excited. Put your seats on tonight. We got the fellas as well as the ladies in the house, and what better way to talk about that than having us come together? I'm so excited. I also have my special co-host on tonight, my sister Tori. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, Stephanie. It is such a pleasure to be here tonight. I'm going to let y'all know I am the editor-in-chief and owner of Creed Magazine, where we enlighten and inspire the faith-driven fashion, love, and lifestyle of the modern Christian. And I am so hyped, so excited to have this conversation concerning relationships. I'm an advocate for all things love and healthy relationships. So, this is right up my alley, sis. I am ready for this conversation and ready to get into it tonight.
All right. And look, I am excited too. I just called one of the fellas. Come on, Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm Brian Thomas. I am a 15-year manufacturing kind of specialist. Been in corporate America doing my thing, but one of the things I love is I love relationships. I love love. I've been married for 8 years now. Got 2 beautiful children, 5-year-old son and a 5-month-old daughter. So I look forward to this conversation, and hopefully I can add some value, not only from a male perspective, but just from a relationship perspective in general.
Okay. And we also have my sis Jody in the house. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sis.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jody. I am entrepreneur, business owner. I actually have 2 master's degrees. My first master's in marriage and family counseling, and my second is in PR and marketing. I own my own PR and marketing firm, as well as a job-buried cable business that I've been out in the field working with my guys today. And mother of 2. I was married for 10.5 years. I am actually currently divorced, but I still love. And I'm looking forward to this discussion today.
Okay. Next up, we have my sis Karen. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. I am Karen. I am in the medical field. I've been in the medical field for 20 years at this time. I'm a first responder. And right now, single, enjoying my singleness, but looking to be with someone and that will be a partner with me. So I am happy to be a part of this topic and to discuss what's going on.
All right. And not last but not least, we have my bro King in the house. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good evening, everybody. I am Mauli King Homeku. I am a graduate of Columbia University and Boston College, 2 masters as well as Jody, native Brooklynite, but also an amazing author of this book called Love and Life Through the Eyes of Travel. It has a book full of affirmations, me traveling to 50 countries and talk about, my experiences with love, romance, and passion, as well as friendships. Thank you.
All right. Oh, so what I need the audience to do right now, I need y'all to go in and I need y'all to share this live. Go in and share. We are on YouTube live. Tell somebody that Takeover Crossover is taking over tonight. And we are talking about relationships. This is the month of February. We call it the love month. We're supposed to love on each other all year round, but we put this time aside to show a little extra love to the one that we love in our lives. Come on now. So, fellas. So, fellas, we got a question for you. I have a question. Open this question with, can a woman be too confident for a man?
Wow.
want to hear this.
King, you go ahead and get started. I'll finish.
I think
Well, no, me personally, I don't think a woman could be too confident for a man. It depends on a man if he can handle that type of confidence. One of the things I think that a woman should focus on is going where she's celebrated, not where she's tolerated or where she's not wanted. It's really that simple. So if someone thinks you're too confident, maybe they're not the one for you, and I don't think we should force it. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I would say, confidence is something we want, right? You want that confidence in a man, you want that confidence in a woman. I get it. Where I would kind of give a different perspective on this is.
Hey, Brian,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I think we should mute while you're talking because I'm hearing some feedback. I don't want the audience to hear that feedback.
Absolutely.
Good point. So I would say, we want confidence in our significant others and all that. But I would say this about confidence, right? Make sure that in your confidence that you're exuding, that you leave space for somebody, right? Because you can be so confident and so quote unquote self-sufficient that you don't leave that space for the team member to come in and figure out where they can add the value and where they can help support and elevate and come alongside you in that journey. So confidence, absolutely. I don't want anybody to feel like they shouldn't be confident. And as men, we want confident women, but we also want women that allow us to be in their space and be in partnership with them. So I hope that give a little bit of kind of a different little perspective on that question.
Okay. My co-host sis Tori, tell me what you was about to say.
Well, I'm going to say you guys are like spot on. I agree with you. I think there is a room for a woman to be confident, but not only to be confident, just like what Brian said, I'm not even talking about leaving room for that person, but leaving room to grow. Like there is a certain level of confidence that I think every woman has, right? But then we can expand or grow in that confidence once, because, there are times when we need to, the man might have to say a little something like, come on, you got to fix this, or this is where you need to go with that, or you know what I'm saying? So it's not a bad thing to be confident, but it's also good to know that in your confidence, you can still grow and elevate even with that partner. So your confidence should be growing in a relationship and not minimized. So
Tori, can I add that you're going to be more confident or less confident in certain things too, right? So show the things that you are super confident in. Also, if dealing with the right type of person, show the vulnerabilities and the places where you maybe lack confidence. And that is where us as a man, or even, from a woman's perspective, can come in and help fill those gaps and kind of make you even more whole as a unit. So I just think that comes with time in the relationship to show that vulnerability. But we are not all confident at everything, right? That's just, we're human beings. So I would just say, the things you're awesome at, really let that shine. And then as you build that rapport with that person, show that vulnerability. And I think that's a defining moment in a relationship, is what happens when one person chooses to show their vulnerability.
That's good. But can I ask a question to that?
Absolutely.
Right here. Now, when we say you want a woman to show confidence, and like you said, to show confidence in those things that you are confident in, but when a woman has that standard, and her standard is, I'm going to do it this way and I'm going to do it that way, and how can a man try to enter into say, okay, well, I know you're confident in that, but can a woman be just overly confident where the man just feel like he can't come in and talk to the woman?
Yeah, I think a lot of men go through that. But once again, a woman, if you are the man that she desires, and if she really wants to make it work, she's gonna substitute that confidence with being coachable, right? Most confident people are coachable people. I've been blessed to be around confident, coachable women, where that they they could go in a meeting and run the boardroom and the executive boardroom, but they can also take advice if it's presented right, right? And I think that's the issue with us men. We don't know how to present it right. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, and most importantly, when you say it. See, timeliness is a big thing that we have to work on as men. You know, a lot of times they say that the truth said at the wrong time is worse than a lie, because you said it at the wrong time. It is the truth. You're 100%, but I don't want to hear that right now. Right now is not the time. Say it with timeliness and say it with the right tone. And that's what, as a man, because I can't talk for women, I never want to talk for women. As a man, I think we need to work on our timeliness, our tone, and the texture of our advice and guidance. And any woman, you can break down any woman. They say little raindrops stir a hole in the hardest rock. So if you're consistently timely, consistently right tone, a consistent right texture of the voice, you can break down the hardest, most confident woman into listening. And that's the first step. So once again, if you are willing to do that, some men, we'll get into it later, don't want to do that. And we don't have to do that. And we'll talk about that later when it gets spicy.
I wanna jump in because what King just said is so true. And I'll give a perfect example. Like, I consider myself a confident woman. I have my stuff together and all that stuff. And so I've launched this Dropberry cable business. Is in the telecommunications industry. My business partner, which is also my brother, has 11 years in this industry, right? So I met a guy and I was telling him like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm launching this, I'm getting ready to buy a truck. I need this with my truck, and like that. I'm really, really confident in what I need. In addition, I have a brother that has 11 years of experience. So we already know what I need. So almost immediately, this guy was like, well, why do you need this? And how come you're not doing it like that? And I'm just like, you don't even know anything about this industry and you're trying to give me advice. Like, guy, I need you to calm down. And, it was just, I felt so offended by his, like, trying to insert his unsolicited, like, opinion and advice into this industry, my company, that he didn't even take the time to listen and hear that I had it all together. I'm just communicating to you because I'm excited what I'm about to do. It's like, oh, why are you paying this much for this? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, just, okay, you know what? Now I've learned I cannot tell you about the things that I'm doing because you feel like I'm asking you for advice. I'm not asking you for advice. I already have it taken care of. My business partner is the operations manager. He's got this down pat. I'm just excited to tell you about this new business venture of mine, not for you to like dive and tell me. So I think he took it as, oh, she's confident, but I can help her. I took it as, I got this. I don't need your help with this. Just, be happy for me. And that's it,
Wow.
Can I say one thing?
Absolutely.
Jody, I 100% agree with you. I was just looking on my phone. One of my former schoolmates, he actually went to get his PhD. We attended Columbia together. His name is Corey Emanuel. And he says, most women, when they come to a man, they come for something else than we think they're coming for. Like, for example, men, we try to be solution-based. We try to give answers when they don't even ask for an answer, right? Most women come for comfort and support. Just listen. Hey, listen, I don't need a solution. I just need you to listen. Because when you have somebody that's confident as Jody, 9 out of 10 chances she knows what to do. She has the answers. She just wants you to listen. And because we are men and alpha men like Brian did, we're strong men, we want to give an answer, right?
Yeah.
But most men, as you get older, you start realizing, like, what? Sometimes she just wants you to listen. Sometimes she just wants you to be her comfort. And that's what, once again, it comes back to really knowing how to lead and knowing how to be timely and be a person that they come to and they feel comfortable with you for that support, that necessary support.
And just one more thing, just on the flip side of that, like, I'm out in the field with my team. So I'm not confident in everything to do to bury cable, right? So the guys are able to say, no, Jody, not that this, because I want to be hands-on and learn. So as I grow, I know exactly what my team is doing. So on the flip side of that, when I'm less confident, I'm absolutely willing to listen and learn. But when I am confident, I just need you to listen and support,
Yeah. I like to add, maybe there's a difference too between confidence in the things that I do, like my business and all that, and then just confidence with relationships, right? You know, as I listen to Jody's about her business, right? It doesn't mean that Karen isn't about her business, but her business may not be as important to her, right? And what I mean by that is Jody, and some of the stories that she's telling, if I'm listening to her, I'm understanding that when it comes to her business, that's not the place for me to be giving her advice. That's the place for me as a man in a relationship. I'm just listening, right? If ever so often she come and ask my opinion on that, bet. But I know that about her because I'm listening to her, and I've been through enough relationships to know that the listening piece is so critical. But Karen may have a whole different perspective where, you know, she may be lacking confidence in her work, and that's the place where she wants you to give her a little bit of advice on how to handle something, right? But as it pertains to her cooking in the kitchen, she might need you to get out her way, right? But you only know these things about your person you're in a relationship with if you actually listening to them. And the one thing that I would say too, like a cheat code, right? For men that are out there, a cheat code: ask and stop assuming. A woman will tell you. You do it in the bedroom, so do it in other places. Do it in the conversation. What do you like? What do you want? What you know, did I deliver that in a way that was well received by you? Would you like for me to make adjustments? So I'm gonna shut up here quick, but I just thought that's a cheat code for men, is like, stop assuming you know a woman and ask her what she wants.
Brian, that's a perfect point. You're on mute, Stephanie. Stephanie, you're on mute.
Hold up.
That's Brian. That's a perfect point, because
Karen said, hold up.
Wait, hold up. How many men, let's be real with this, how many men will be to speak in that manner to see what a woman wants? We're dealing with these men that think they know it all.
Yeah.
Just keeping it real. And when we're talking about relationships, it's for our equal balance, to grow together, to learn together, to communicate. But how many of us are doing that? How many of us are really hearing what another person say?
And that's why we on the takeover crossover. That's why we on the takeover crossover. We giving folks the cheat code.
That's right. That's why we here tonight.
Listen, Karen, I'm gonna tell you, it's the mature one.
Yeah.
It's the mature one, because I never understood how important a conversation was until my fiance brought up the fact that, like, we need to have conversations. Mm-hmm. In my past relationships, conversations weren't, it was just like, you know, that surface stuff, but it's so necessary. But that's when you find someone who's really mature and trying to understand who you are, is when they realize, or that person realizes, or within that relationship, y'all realize that it's more than just the surface. It has to go deeper than that. And it takes mature individuals. I didn't realize how I'm gonna tell my age, I'm 37. So being my age, I didn't understand how important a conversation was until I was 35. Okay. And with someone who actually wanted to engage in conversation with me. And that's so important. It takes a mature one. I'm gonna be honest.
It's the maturity. And I think that we have to get to a point where we question who we're dealing with if they're not taking the time to get to know the essence of who you are, how you move, what makes you tick, if you need help here. Like, these are legit questions that require time. You know, I think Stephanie and I were diving into this when we first started talking about the importance of almost slow walking relationships. You need time to get to know and understand who people are. And with the caveat in knowing that in 5 or 10 years, they may not still be the same person. I'm not the same person I was when I was 18, 19,
Come
20
on now.
That's
years
the
old.
answer.
I just turned 37 this past Saturday, and so the things that I need are far different than the things that I needed at 27, just 10 years ago. So, I mean, it's important to understand that you have to take the time to get to know people, who they are, what makes them tick, I always say 4 seasons and a death and a wedding. Like, I need to see you in every season, winter, fall, spring, and summer. I need to see you when somebody dies. I need to know how you respond to grief, how you respond to, traumatic situations. Have you been to counseling? Like, these are things, we make so many emphasis on what's your credit score and how much money you make, and we get all that. But for me, it's about like the deeper stuff. How do you handle your emotional trauma? How do you treat your mother? Are you visiting your children? These are things that are important to me because it speaks to the character. I don't have a problem with finding a man that has money. I mean, I don't know why women tend to. There's a lot of great guys out there that have money, but there's very few that I found that have the character and have the patience to even get to know me. So many men want to rush into situations with me, but the patience and the character is what I look for when I'm seeking, when I'm interested in a man.
Okay. Well, anybody want to comment on that before I come up with the next question?
I was just going to throw in there the reason why I call that the cheat code is because the conversation piece, right? So this is the thing. A physical interaction is going to lead to a moment of pleasure that lasts for a very minute period of time. The conversation is the prolonged pleasure. It's pleasure in ways that you have no clue that a woman appreciates. But I'll give women a little tip here. If you let a man know how much that conversation stimulates you, we would do it more. But we don't know. We only know that you're pleased in other ways. So sometimes if you let a man know, like, this actually has value to this relationship, like I'm giving you a lot of credit here. You getting some points by having this conversation piece. We don't know that as men. Like, sometimes we are just,
Can I tell you something, Brian? A lot of times women don't even know. Okay. A lot of times we don't even know conversation is really what we need. That's right. And we are trying to compensate for that conversation piece because there are other things in the way. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of times we don't even know, and that comes with what I say, maturity. It takes time. And there's some people that mature at 24, then there are others that mature at 45. But it takes maturity. At the end of the day, that's what it because I didn't know I needed conversation in that way. You get what I'm saying? So until we come to the realization that we need it, because sometimes the man needs to trigger that in a woman. A lot of times the woman doesn't even know that's something that's necessary in her life. So I'm just being honest, and it is one of those things where it's a good balance of both. You have to, at least if one person's mature in that area and the other, that comes with that confidence thing. Sometimes women aren't as confident in speaking or communicating their feelings because they're looked at a certain way or too emotional. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times we as women minimize the ability to have a conversation for the sake of pleasing a man because we don't know what he really wants. So it's
you're hitting it on the head, and it goes to this whole pick me game. Women spend more time trying to prove their value, their worth. They try to prove, they have their please pick me. I can cook, I can clean. I won't talk too much. I will watch something that I don't like. I will do something that I don't want to do, but just please pick me because society tells me that I should be married right now. Or society tells me I should have a baby. So please, 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 please pick me. And I think that once we start removing ourselves from the pick me game and we start actually communicating what we want with an understanding that people have a right not to want the same thing, and I think that we almost even have to remove the shame of breaking up with people. Like, it is okay to not want to be with someone. It's okay to decide that that person is not the person that you want to grow with, to bond with, to procreate with, to marry, to dedicate your life to. It is okay, So I think that there's so, like, it's this evil thing. If you break up with somebody, you're a bad person. Versus maybe that person saw something that it had probably nothing to do with you. It's something that person wanted differently for their world, So we have to, like, you're right. Women are so focused on being picked and being loved and wanting this Disney World version of their lives to come, that they're missing key critical things within the man, like just asking basic questions so you can understand who he is and how he thinks and what he truly wants for his life. And if that matches what you want, but they've not done the work, they don't understand what they want, so it's difficult to now try and put two people together when they don't even know what they want as individuals.
I think the piggyback on Jody, what Jody said is, women, the fear of being alone supersedes being happy.
Right.
They're so scared of being alone, they don't care about their own personal individual happiness. And we as men, a former playboy, we take advantage of that.
Okay.
Right? We take advantage of that. Okay, because we know there's not enough qualified men. So some men would be like, hey, you know what? Then where you gonna go?
You better say that again.
So then some men don't
Not enough qualified.
Listen, if you was close enough, King, I would have slapped you.
Right. So
King, keep it real. Keep it all the way real, though. It's not just enough men, though, King.
This is what I constantly say all the time. There's nothing wrong with you women, particularly Black women. Of course, we all have traumatic pasts. We all have our traumas, right? There's nothing wrong. It's just not enough qualified men for qualified women. Unfortunately, I hate to say it like that. It's really a numbers game. You could have every woman could be amazing. It's just not enough men to supply us. And I'm not talking about always numbers, because I used to get the numbers mixed up too. I used to always say it's 10-1. It's not really 10-1. It's really, in the U.S. Census, is really 1-1, like 1.6 to 1.8 more women. But because of incarceration, men that don't like women, right? You got to think about that as well. Men, that don't meet your salary qualification or your spiritual qualification. So with all
men that are already married,
already married. So you have all these, and usually those are the best men. But we talk about that later when it gets spicy. But at the end of the day, is the more preferences you have, the more attributes you want, the less men you have in the pool to choose from. So that's the issue. And then when a woman sees that, because women are far more intelligent, far more emotionally intelligent men. So when they realize, they're like, damn, I got a good one. I'm not really fully happy, but let me try to make this work, because I don't want to be alone, because I got to go and regroup and do this whole dating process again. I don't really want to do that. So we're going to try to fix this and make this happen when they're not happy.
Let me say something real quick right there. While you right there, King, because that's the next question I want to talk about. And that is settling. And I know a lot of people that do it, and I know, we all probably went through it with the settling. Or do men settle? They always say the women always settle, but do men settle? They always say the women settle. I just want to hear from the guys. Do y'all settle with a woman as well? Y'all don't get what y'all want. Y'all get the, I'll just take this. Y'all do that?
We settle. We definitely settle, but but in what categories, right? So I don't think anybody settles holistically. I think you settle in certain categories within a person, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're thinking about the bigger picture. We always got this rule like 80-20. You're not going to get 100. Well, stop speaking that. That's manifestation. You're not going to get 100. Don't talk about me. I'm going to get 100, right? Words are very powerful, right? And sometimes the 100 that you think you want is not the 100 that you need, right? What is your 100? Your 100 might not be what you need, right? So we have to really think about stuff like that. We do settle, and that's because, because you're settling with yourself. If you don't love yourself, you can't fully love someone else. If you don't want yourself to be great, how could you truly want somebody else to be great? You know, if you can't identify personally with success, how can you identify a successful person? It starts with you. So when a man settles, I look at him as a person that's settling within some place in his life. That's what I look at. That's just my perspective.
But King, let me ask you a quick question. Is there any way it could be, instead of settling, being satisfied? Because see, that's one of those things where you can be you can have that 80-20 situation, right? Because we have to understand no one person is perfect. It's always going to be some need for improvement. It's always going to be some like that growth and confidence. It's going to be something within that person. But when you find that 80, can't you call it satisfied with the 80 that you have, opposed to looking at it on the negative side and saying you just settled? Because I think settling can be one of those things where you're just like, settling seems like a negative connotation when it comes to relationships, because no one really wants to settle. That's
a good point, Tori.
Well,
so,
come on.
and we're gonna break that down. When someone settles, it deals with expectations. You expect something to happen, doesn't happen, and you accept it, so you settled, right? Satisfaction is the post, it's the afterwards. When you realize you got something, you didn't know you liked it, and now you're starting to grow to love it. That's satisfaction. Settling has so much to do with false expectations. That's why I say you have to know what you want, or you're gonna always settle. Wow. You understand? So,
but even in knowing what you want, seeing where that person can go will allow you to say, you know what, I'm satisfied with this. I'm satisfied with, for me, what God gave me, because I know that if I keep having conversations, if I keep expressing myself, and that's not on the neck, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about settling for men who don't have a job. Come on, ladies, we know we need certain things. There has to be certain things there, but that 20%, okay, he might not be, he might have this business plan that's huge and he might not be there yet, but we know where he's going. That can be a satisfaction, because you see and it's not just talk of potential, it's actually seeing it on paper. You know what I mean? And so that's that satisfied aspect.
Right. So I want to answer, just because I have a lot of amazing male friends and just great guys, and men do settle. Because the things that I hear that they have to go through with their wives or girlfriends, I'm like, why are you? And they're like, I don't know why I'm still here. Like, some of them have been there like for 4 and 5 and 10 years. And they're like, I just, I just settled. I just figured, like, I'm here. Like, I don't want to go through the dating thing anymore. Like, I'll just figure it out. Like, I'll just wing it, which a lot of people tend to do in life. They just wing it, right? And I think that eventually they do settle for women that don't satisfy them in a lot of different areas. And I'm not talking about sexual, I'm talking about even emotional. There's a lot of situations where women are, overly abusive, overly controlling, overly jealous. And unfortunately, some good men have to endure this, and they stay because in their mind, they may feel like, either, I just find a lot of them feel sorry for these women. I mean, I feel like men are like, they almost, women, we like to fix things, but I think men have that same trait. Like, I find like a lot of my great male friends, like they take women, like women that are not ready for relationships. Let's just put it that way.
Right. But Jody, that's a good point.
They want to like groom them. They want to cuddle them. They want to fix them. I'm like, why don't you just get a woman that's ready? Like, why are you spending time? They're like, no, well, you know what? I feel like she can be great. I'm like, yo, she dropped out of high school, my guy. She worships Cardi B and wants wigs for Christmas. Like, why don't you find a woman that, that is above more, and I'm like, you're a corporate guy, you have it well together. There are women that are well put together that will suit you, and they're like, well, I'm just gonna, and I get that they want to like help, but in this helping, like, I've witnessed good guys help these women for like 2 and 3 and 10 years, and the women are lying and hitting them and controlling and jealous and checking their phones, and I'm just like, why are you there? Like,
But Jody, a lot of reasons. Another reason why men do it too, because we are prisoners of convenience, right? Men get convenient. We get so comfortable. We get so comfortable. So, like I said, we don't. That's the only reason why I think men settle, because I don't want to start over. I don't want. If a man has a favorite pair of jeans, he's gonna wear those pair of jeans as much as possible.
Wow.
We are creatures of habit. We are prisoners of convenience, right?
But
so
that's the mentality of the savior. That's the mentality. That's the mentality. You hear me now? You hear me?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
We got you, Karen.
Oh,
Thank
wait
you.
a minute.
Just a little softer. We got you, Karen.
All right, wait a minute. Here I come. My screen just went out. Okay. That's the savior mentality for a man or a woman. When you want to come in and be that where men and women do settle.
Everyone has to mic because we're getting feedback from you, Karen.
Okay.
Not you, but everyone else.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. That's the savior mentality that a man and woman have in settling. Because I know perfectly good guys that have a woman and now they're like been with this woman for 4 or 5 years. So, and I will always ask my friend, like, why did you stay with her? But that was a savior mentality that this one guy had because he thought that he could fix her, like Jody just said. And that's what I'm saying with men and women. I believe it's not just with being satisfied or just, I know some good guys and some very good women that have a savior mentality thinking they can fix a person, and they settle because they see every little thing that's wrong that is like, well, I'm just going to stick with this person. Then you get so settled in that relationship that it's like, well, I ain't going to go nowhere now because I've been in it for so long. So it's a savior mentality, even with selling with certain men and certain women that I do know that are married, but yet if they could, they'll stay there. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I believe, like Jody said, you do have people that do just settle.
Yeah,
Like you said, people don't want to start all over.
Mm-hmm.
Who wanted to say something?
No, I was just saying I agree. That's that. Just want to, because I mean I went through that, so I understand. You just feel like you want to save them and you can fix it and they'll change and they ain't doing none of that. They ain't studying.
Well, you know what? I can throw a wrench into it from a clinical perspective. I actually wrote a book called Stop Hurting Yourself, and it speaks about distortion of realities, right? And I think one of the things that men and women struggle with, but I would probably argue that women struggle with it more, is the overwhelming need to create a version of a person that does not exist. So, for example, we will meet a guy and we have already changed who he is in our mind. Like we are already like, oh my God, he is the best at everything. He's a great guy. He's a great father. You know, he sees his kids about 3 times a year. We're like, oh, he's a great father. He calls it, like, we just create these versions of people in our heads. We create these distorted realities, and we start almost having a relationship with that person that we've created. And so we're like, you know, when we're faced with these incidents, when they're doing something that goes against what we think they should be doing in our head, because we have a person in our head. I'm guilty of this. Like I was married to a whole different man for 10 and a half years. I just created him in my head. And when anytime he did something wrong, I was able to justify it and rationalize it because the man in my head would never do that. Right? The man in my head would love me and care and be there and not cheat, not lie, not do these things. Right? So when he would do them, it was almost like this weird reality shift for me, but then I would go right back into the distortion, right? Like, oh, you know, he didn't mean it, or, you know, we can get through it because he's a better person than what he's, you know, saying, right? This is not who he really is, but it is, right? Like it is who they really are. So I think, and I mean, honestly, I've witnessed male friends do the same thing. They have like, you tell them like, yo, this girl is hitting you, dude. Like she's kicking you out of your place. She's doing all of these negative things to you. And they're like, no, she's beautiful. I love her. I'm like, they just cannot see what you can see. So you can actually think about like some friends and family, you know, in these situations. And you're like, Jesus, why can't she see that this guy is not good for her? Why can't he see that this girl is out here, you know, wilding out? Like we're telling him that she's crazy. And he's like, nah, bro, I love her. Like, you just don't understand. And like, why can't they see? They cannot. Mentally, they have recreated who that person is. So these distorted versions of reality really play against us as well. And that's why it's important to learn who you are, master that process, so you can then master how to learn who somebody else is, right? Because that's I think what we're skipping, and that's why we're ending up in situations.
I think that sometimes.
Oh, go ahead, Stephanie.
I think that sometimes. Thank you. I think that sometimes when we go into relationships, I feel like when we settle, and I just have to be honest, because we always go in thinking that we can fix that person. Oh, well, I'm just going to ignore it because I can fix them. I mean, we'll just get married and we'll just be together and I can fix them. And the reality is you can't fix the person. If the person is not willing to work on that at that moment and you don't have communication, that's when I ask, whenever we talk and just let one person talking and everybody mute themselves because we hear the feedback. So I feel like, we can't fix anybody. Been in relationships with someone where you go in thinking that, oh, well, this is a point of us settling, not even knowing that we're settling. Oh, we've been together for 10 years. Okay, we about to get married now. You get married to this person, and the reality is you don't like half of the things he do. You don't like nothing that he does, but then we still would stick with that person and be miserable and broken inside and never communicate that out. That's a form of settling. Oh, well, everybody else got somebody, so I guess the first person that come along, knowing that he's everything I don't want besides a man. He might not be your color, your height. He might not be built to what you have. And I feel like, I just feel like this. This is my point of view. And y'all tell me your point of view. I feel like we should have what we want. I like strawberry ice cream. I'm not a chocolate ice cream girl. So therefore, I'm not going to force myself to eat chocolate knowing I can't stand it. But the reality is I'm going to eat it and put this picture in front of everybody like I'm happy. And reality is, I'm settling. And I think now a lot of people, we're doing a settling thing, and it's for the show. It's for the look. I feel like you should get what you want. And I realize too, we have goals. And I think that goals are good. And you have to have some standards for the women as well as the men. If we don't have standards and we don't keep that bar at a certain altitude, then what are we saying? You know what I mean? We're working hard to build our foundation, unless you don't want one. So I feel like this, I'm going in with an open mind and an open mindset. And when I said, do you feel like certain women are confident? Because I feel like this is how I feel, men. I feel like certain women can have it going on, and they can be gorgeous. They can have their finances in order, ride the baddest car, live in the nice house, and they be single. And I'm like, well, what's wrong? I mean, she might be broken or maybe going some issues, but the reality is, why wouldn't a man approach her? Is it because she's too confident? Because she has her own? I just want to know from the male's perspective, like, because you got some women out here that is holding on their own, and men just, I just want to hear, like, would you approach her? Would you, you feel like, is she going to shut you down? I mean, I just have to hear it.
Well, there's many factors. You got some men that have this God complex. They feel like they can't change a woman that has everything, right? They can't fix a woman. She's too rigid because she does for herself. She won't listen to me because she makes more than me, or she's doing better than me, or she has options, right? Then you have men like me when I was younger, that it was by chance that I dealt with women that weren't evenly yoked financially or education-wise. Why do I say that? Because the doctors and lawyers that I wanted to date, they had to call, or corporate or hedge fund workers, they had to call in for work, right? If I was dating a dancer or a stripper, if I wanted to go to Egypt, we going to Egypt tomorrow, right? Because they didn't have any real super responsibilities, and they were flexible. They had more access to time. That was my reason. As for other reasons, I don't know, but my reason for doing somebody that wasn't so well put together, it wasn't because I didn't like them. It was because I'm very spontaneous. If you read the book, I travel. Like, I like the destination dates, right? They couldn't do it spontaneous, like randomly. It took planning and scheduling. If I want to go someplace with you, let's go. So that was my reason. I don't know about other men. Maybe Brian could give you another reason. I don't know.
Yes, Brian, give us enough. Talk to us.
I actually, you know what, on the settling, man, I didn't settle. I love my wife. There are some things that I think you want, and you realize, you know, it's a separation between wants and needs when you grow up as a man. I always say that I put on some grown man eyes. So I wear contacts, and I feel like when I found my wife, I found a different set of lens. It's almost like
You found your prescription.
it's like I've been eating mashed potatoes, and nobody had salt in it. It's like, dang, first time I seen some garlic and some salt and some cheese and maybe some bacon bits, it was like, ooh, where'd that flavor come from? And it was just, I started to appreciate. And as I've been married now, and I've seen my wife, you know, give birth to my children, I call it my grown man eyes. And we see beauty in a different light. And there's just such maturity. But I would say, you know, just a different perspective I want to add to this is, as I'm listening to all the stories, it's like, I think we may not understand what a relationship and marriage really is. And so I wrote down two things, and I put the destination and the vehicle. So why I believe, and it's just my assumption, that we are having these visions of who we think people are, and we just don't make it work, is because in our mind, we see a destination. This person is just a vehicle to help me get to a destination. I want to be married. Well, I'll marry you. You'll help me get there. I want to have kids. You can get me pregnant. You'll help me get there. I want the nicer house. Well, guess what? You make more money. That'll help me get there. When really, it's not the destination, and then this person is the vehicle to get there. The destination is the vehicle. It's the journey that you're about to take on this ride with this person. The ride is the destination, and wherever you are is the relationship. So you got to be very careful who you get in the car with, because if you get in this car and your whole thing is, we're going to drive 25 miles and we're going to get to our destination, you're in trouble. Because this relationship, this love, this life, this marriage, there is no destination. The fact that you got in the car together is the destination. That's the whole thing. So you better be very careful who you choose to get in the car with. But the whole thing before that is, be very careful of what you think the destination is. If you think the destination is the house, the marriage, the car, the kids, then you're in trouble from the beginning. When I first met my wife, my mom had taught me something. Because I was in a relationship for like 10 years. And I said, Mom, why didn't it work? She's like, baby, because love, like marriage is bigger than just love. And I said, why do you think it's working with this? She says, because y'all in the same place now. And so the first phone conversation I had with my wife, we were, you know, just getting to know each other. I said, are you looking for a husband? She said, yes. I said, she said, are you looking for a wife? I said, yes. I said, we got a chance. Now let's choose to get in this car together. And every moment is the destination, not you're about to be my vehicle to get to this imaginary place that I've created in my mind, because you will get everything you want.
You better come on now.
You'll get the car. You'll get pregnant. You'll get the kids. You'll get everything you wanted. And then you'll get the divorce. Because it was never about the relationship. It was about the destination. And so I hope that helps somebody out there just a little bit in maybe reassessing the start of the process, because I think you went to the end and you didn't really put enough attention on the beginning.
You better come on now here, my brother from another mother.
You know what? Just to add, which probably what you just said needs no additions, but in an attempt to add, it's also, to me, what you said, like people don't understand what a marriage is, but I kind of take it a step further to say that people are caught up in the traditional way that it should be. right? So they've been taught it's a house, it's a car, it's a man, it's kids, it's a picket fence, it's all these things, right? And so there's a very like societal norm way that people go into relationships, courting, boyfriend, girlfriend, be with them for a little bit, go out, meet the parents, and it's just this like road, right? And everyone is just set on walking that one road. And I have chosen to go against that grain, right? So I'm not looking for a husband. I'm not looking for a man. I'm not looking for any of those things. For me, I'm just looking for human connections and great experiences. Like I'm not defining all of these different like things that I want, because to your point, I did that. You know what I'm saying? I did that initially. And well, I would say my ex-husband did that. I didn't want the kids, and I didn't want marriage. I didn't want any of these things. He wanted all of those things. And I just kind of said, okay, if you want it, okay, fine. But now in my maturity, I'm not diving into it looking for what the world tells me I should look for, if that makes sense. I'm diving into it with this very almost, I don't know, there's this very vulnerable but mature but fun place. Like, I don't want it to be as I've deleted the societal norms of what I should be doing at age 37, and I'm just like, I want to just enjoy the beauty of life. And if somebody comes into that world and wants to enjoy it with me, then high five, let's hop on a flight and go somewhere. I'm a traveler as well, but I'm not going to go into it like I have to be married within a year. I need to have this. And I don't need all of that. I don't enter into any relationship or friendship, because we forget we have a lot of intimate relationships with people even outside of just male female, right? We have intimate relationships with many people in our lives, and all of those relationships I enter into the same way, because for me, I don't want to be married to my husband. I want to be with my best friend. And that doesn't require a certificate saying that you are with this person. Like, I want to be with my best friend. I have a best friend in Bermuda named Chanel. We've been friends since the 5th grade. And whatever has made our friendship work for the past 30, years is what I want in a man.
I think we as human beings have to understand that love and marriage can coexist, but they're not synonymous. Love and marriage are not synonymous. Mm-hmm. That's what you can love someone and not marry them, and you can marry someone you don't love. See, we think they coexist. We think they're the same thing. We think they're interchangeable, but they're not. They're two different things that can, like Brian says, be that vehicle, right? Be that journey, right? But we, at the end of the day, we really need to really do some self-inventory and define what we really want, and be prepared to handle the consequences of what we want. Are you ready to handle that consequence of saying, hey, I want human connection? Because what Jody's talking about is that real love, that real friendship, partnership, and romance. That's real. But is she ready to go the distance, right? Is she ready to go 15, 10 years if she don't get that connection being single, right? Or somebody says, I want marriage. Are they ready to wake up every day unhappy? Are they ready for that? Are you ready to handle those choices? And that's what we need to really do, some self-inventory. Do some real self-inventory when it comes to making these choices with life-term partners.
Yeah. King, I like to add to that, because I think maybe everyone may not understand what you just said about when you said, when you marry, you want that marriage. Are you willing to like not be happy? And I don't want that to go under go under the radar. It's gonna be, when you choose to be married, you're choosing it all. Like, I mean, and not just choosing to be married, but like, if you really want this thing to last, I am choosing to go on this journey of life with you through it all. And you better be willing to not be happy at times. You better be willing to compromise. You better be willing to put your pride to the side. If you just want the adventurous journey, love, you want to travel, everything is just popping, it's always lit. Well, you might want to stay single and just have friends and whatever. But if you're choosing to go down the path of marriage, then you are accepting it all. And that's when I asked my wife, or my girl, not even girlfriend, just a woman I was on the phone with at the time. And I said, are you looking for a husband? What I was really asking her was, are you ready for it all? And I think we had both matured enough to say, and I think our careers helped us too, because of what we do professionally. It forced early maturity on us in our late 20s. And I think both of us was like, yep, we've endured a lot of crap. We're willing to do this with somebody that's willing to do it with us. And she was not my vehicle. And I'm gonna go back to that, and I'm gonna let that sit on somebody real quick. Your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend is not your vehicle to get to a destination. The vehicle is the relationship, and y'all just gonna ride it out together no matter where you go. Because I really think people get confused in thinking that this person I'm dating is just is the way I get somewhere. No, what happens if the car breaks down? Then y'all just gotta ride it out right there together. Y'all gotta sleep on that floor together. Y'all gotta eat beanie weenies together. COVID taught a lot of us that we don't even like the people we with.
Hello?
Guess what?
When
COVID hit, my wife was like, look, baby, I picked up some extra noodles. I picked up some extra this. I picked up some extra that. And I'm like, you know what? If I got to rock with you, I'm rocking with you. If we going out, this is who I'm going out with. And that's some serious love. But it came from, at the beginning, I knew I wanted to do this with you until I died. And that's some strong commitment. And I know that ain't ready, but I love what King said. That's what I wanted. So you be careful of what you want, and make sure that marriage might not be for you though.
And
it just might not be.
Say that. It might not be for you.
And that is okay, right?
And that is okay.
So
One person at a time.
We have to take away the shame of people that do not want to get married, because for some reason there is this negative connotation associated with women that do not, or men that do not want to get married, because they do not want what you just spoke of. And that is okay. And I think that with me, with working with, my circle of friends are all very professional women, and there are some that have no interest in marriage. And we're always laughing about this, because I'm like, yo, people think that we're bitter, or think that we're like, I just don't have an interest in it, like not at this, I'm not going to say it's like this forever, but at this phase of my life, I'm just simply not interested. And it's always a negative for women that are just not interested in that. And it's kind of like, oh, she must be bitter. And I'm like, no, I'm actually quite happy. I'm just not interested in it right now.
Jody's right. Once again, marriage does not equate to love, and vice versa. People forget the history of marriage was based on social stratification, social economic stratification. When you marry somebody, you want to move up economically or socially. That's the history of love. History of marriage, history of marriage. It has nothing to do with love. That has nothing to do, but right now, people are more concerned with the ceremony instead of the substance.
Absolutely.
They want the wedding instead of the marriage. They want the wedding instead of the partnership. That's all they care about. They care about the ceremony. They care about the pictures. They don't care about the person. And this is why we are losing as a society. That's why divorce rates are going up. That's why, like Brian said, COVID, you've been with somebody, you forget, you sleep 8 hours, you work 8 hours, and the last 8 hours you come in. If you have children, you split that last 8 hours with your child. You have 4 hours left with your significant other. You don't know them, but COVID made you know them. Now you know them because you got the whole 24 hours to figure that person out. You know them now. Thank God, I'm blessed. I know who I have somebody. I'm not. We're gonna get to that. I'm single. I'm with a lady, but I'm not married. So I say I'm single. You feel me? Because I think if you're not married, you're single. But I'm with a lady. We'll talk about that later. Jody knows what I'm talking about because we talked about it in the room before. But it's gonna make sense. Brian, look at me. Are you crazy? What's going on? But it's gonna make sense. I'm happy with a lady right now. I'm happy with her because we did COVID together. I've been seeing this lady every day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm blessed. I'm grateful. It could have been someone else who I could have despised, but I actually like this person. I like this person, but we're not married. So we talk about that later. All right.
Tori, come on, speak to us, sis.
All right, so I'm gonna say it like this. I think we all have our personal feelings concerning relationships and how we do them, right? There's some people who don't want to get married, but there's some people who long for that partnership. And the partnership that they long for is not just because of love. It's not just because of social status. It's because that they have a connection and they know they're connecting, and they have that ability to connect with someone on a selfless level, right? And that's the way I think about it. Like for me personally, I'm like, okay, I want to do this. I want to do this thing called life with someone long term, paper or not, right? But because I do believe in the value of marriage and the richness of marriage, that's what I'm going for. Okay. So my thing is this, like, just the same way, and I know I'm kind of flipping the script a little bit, but just hear me out for a second. You know, there are people who don't want to get married, and Jody, I understand what you're saying, and sometimes we can go to a point where we don't even understand why other people are in relationships. And I'm going back to the point where, you know, you made about like your homeboys who are in relationships with females who are not all the way there, right? But that might have been their list. That might be what they're looking for. That might satisfy them. They might not be settling. To them, you know, from the inside perspective, that could be their satisfaction opposed to their settling. And on the outside, you see it as maybe settling, but that might have been their list. And, you know, it might not be the norm or what we look for or what we think a relationship should be, but who are we to say that the relationship isn't what it is or isn't how it's supposed to be for them and that person? So, you know, we kind of have to flip the script as well. It's kind of like, yes, marriage might not be for everybody, but even though it's not for everybody, it doesn't mean that marriage can't be done and can't be done good and can't be done right. I'm an advocate for love and relationships. So I feel as though I'm like, oh, over here, like, I understand it might not be for everybody. That's just like, okay, let's take our minds to this other concept, right? For those of us who believe in relationships with the opposite sex, okay, we got to take ourselves to, you know, how with the LGBTQ community, you know, they now want us to believe their way, and that's fine, that's understandable, but it doesn't make one way right or one way wrong. It means that there's something different for everybody. There's something different for that person or that group of people, and there's something different for those who think differently. And so I just think that within relationships and how we look at them, you know, we have to look at it from the aspect of what works for you. And Jody, you might be like, that's your thing, like traveling, friendship, connections. I also think the same exact way, but I think for me, it comes with the marriage. It comes with that lifelong partnership. It comes with the understanding that I'm going to be selfless enough to give myself to someone and them give themselves back to me equally, not overextending myself, not overextending my mental capacity to make someone fit into my bubble, but making sure that I fit into their bubble and they fit into mine. So we're one cohesive unit. You know, I think it's just a different thing for each side of the coin. Like, I mean, it just fits for whoever it fits for. And it's nothing wrong with, you know, the way Jody believes. Like, I understand you, because I see that point. I see where marriage might not be for everybody, but for me, give me
Wait, before you respond, King, if I could just say, like, I think in your response is why I responded that the way that I responded, because when I typically respond with my perspective, it seems so foreign to many people that they like I get that kind of reaction from people. They're like, well, no, love can be great, and I believe in love and marriage is wonderful. And I didn't say it wasn't. I just said that it wasn't for everybody, and I think that when
yeah,
people,
and that's my point. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing.
so we're making the same point, but I felt like because I said that I'm not interested in it, it's almost like, okay, she's saying that it's bad for everyone. No, I've never said it's bad from everyone. I didn't say that marriage was a negative thing or was anything like that. I just said that there are people that are not interested in marriage and quite frankly, in the traditional way that we believe that marriage is or what it is. The fact that we are defining it as one thing, to me, is the problem that we have in society, because marriage is this one thing, but marriage can be many different things. Relationships, there are, in our community, this is a black forum. In our community, we are taught one way to be in a relationship. That's it. But in other communities, there are plenty of different types of relationship. There's something called self-partnership. There's something called social monogamy. There's something called, like, there are so many different layers that other communities that now that I've gone out and I've explored these different types of relationships, I'm like, wow, we are only taught one way. And we're only like, it's a regimented way of teaching things. And I'm not saying that one way is bad. I'm just pretty, it's pretty exciting that there's other ways that you can love and be loved and express love and explore love other than this one way, like marriage. And you need to be here and you need to marry one person and you need to be with them every day. You need to sleep with them every day. You need to do this with them. There is other ways of doing things, and they're equally as good as the one way we know. That's my only point.
Can I say something?
King, we can't hear you.
Stephanie, what you say something, Stephanie?
Yes, I did. I was telling Karen to go ahead because she had a mic unmuted. Thank you.
Okay.
But due to we're talking about relationships, and in any relationship you choose, you got to do the work. So it's your choice in getting into a relationship. It's your choice of if that's marriage for you. So with any partnership of friendship, there is a friendship, then it turns to a kinship, then it turns into a relationship. But each individual, we all have to do the work, no matter what we want to be in as far as relationships. We're talking about relationships. So relationship can be a marriage. It can be a kinship of a friendship. But with anything you do, with any type of relationship, there's a work of listening. There's a work of partnership. There's a work of respect. There's a work that we all have to do with being individuals to get into a relationship, even with a friendship or a girlfriend. Me and my girl, we sitting there talking, and I got to hear her. So it's just the work we have to do in the maturity of being in a relationship. So for relationship talk is.
I appreciate you saying that. I agree 100%, Karen.
Right. So I think everybody was saying the same thing. And I don't think Jody was opposed to marriage at all. She said she's not going out seeking it, right? And I think Brian said the same thing. Marriage is not for everyone. And I think Tori came from a more Christian point of view and saying, hey, this is what says. And Jody's saying,
that's in my DNA. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Jody's saying maybe
right. So we're opposite because it's not. Right. We're opposite,
right.
So I don't subscribe.
Hold on, we can't hear everybody at once.
And it's nothing wrong with that, right? My thing is, and this is why I stress I'm single, even though I have a lady. So now I'm glad we get to talk about that. The reason why I promote marriage for Black women, because it's a form of protection. We live in a very litigious society, right? So when you go to any application, they ask you, are you single or married or divorced? They never ask you if you're dating, right? Dating means nothing in a legal sense, right? In a litigious world, if you die, if I'm not married to you and you didn't sign like the will for me to be in charge of you, then you have no say. You can't even come into the room, the hospital room, if I'm dying, if you're not married, right? So marriage has a lot of significance in regards to litigious aspects or legal aspects of this world. And I promote marriage to young Black women because I don't want them wasting their time. I also promote the 2 years of if he doesn't see your value in 2 years, you gotta go. Why do I promote that? Because women have, if you choose to have children, if you want children, they have a biological clock. I don't want you to waste your time. So that's what I promote, those two things, because of protection for women to make sure they don't waste their time. Because these men out here will string you along for years and make you waste your good years when you can give that to someone who really deserves it. So to test them, okay, if you leave me, if you want to be with me, marry me, because you leave me, there's consequences for that, right? And it doesn't take you that long to know if I'm that woman for you, if you're a grown man, in my opinion. So I promote it not because of, and I definitely agree with Jody, not because of the traditional sense. I promote it as a form of protection so women don't get misled. That's just my thing.
I have a very opposing view to King. I mean, I have an opposing view.
I respect it.
Yeah, no, I respect, and I love that you said like the protection thing. I think that's cool, that's cute. I love that. But then there's also part of me that I just don't believe that two people should be committing themselves. I don't know what age you were referring to when you said young women. So I don't know what young women fall. So maybe you can clarify that. But I just feel like it's so important that we grow into a more mature version of who we are, and so we can make key decisions. I got into a debate with someone on Facebook the other day over this whole student loan argument, right? Some people like, oh, just pay off for loans, and some people like, I shouldn't have to. The point that I was making is at 18, I was not even old enough to drink, but I was old enough to sign legal documentation that will put me in debt for the next 40, 50 years of my life, And I think that there's a lot of maturity. I'm sorry, Tori mentioned earlier that she's now 37, and at 35, she realized how important conversation was to have. The earlier version of Tori didn't realize that, and I didn't, either. So, I mean, I think that there's an importance of women were always told to almost rush into these things, and men are told to wait and take your time and get to know somebody and be really, really sure. And women, we're told, hurry up because you have a clock that's ticking. And if you want to have kids and if you want to do this and I just think that it almost needs to be like balance between how we're raising our men and how we're raising our female. So now you have women that are rushing. There's a lot of women are rushing into relationships with men they don't know, that are not protecting them, and that they are ending up in divorce. Now they have kids that they have to care for by themselves. So I just think that for me, I'm just not a fan of women young marrying and rushing and not taking the time to really understand who they're with and the intentions of that person.
Right. So can I say something? Can I say something, Joey?
I was about to say, we want to stick with relationships, talking about the men being prepared and the women being prepared. This is Valentine's Day month. This is, I mean, you have a lot of single people out here. We're not so busy jumping right into marriage, but we're really talking about the man's perspective and the woman's perspective, and that are single. Those that are right now that are single. What are some key things, if you guys are single, that you're doing? Are you looking to mate? Are you enjoying your single life? Are you preparing yourself to, get into a relationship? Because we have an audience of people who are married and they don't want to be married. And you have some people that are married and they enjoy. Let me just mute a couple mics real quick. And they enjoy being married. And you have young ladies and men who are single, and some of the guys are afraid to step up and ask her. Because like we're in 2021, and I see now that a lot of ladies now are proposing to men. I mean, back in the day, you had the men. The tradition was the man proposing, but now we in another era where it's like it depends on the relationship now. So we just want to really gear it towards, those that are single, some fellas out here that really want to be with somebody, that is serious. We are in a pandemic. Some people still want to find love. They want to still feel hope. And we really just coming together on tonight to hear from the ladies and the fellas. Or if you're single, what are you doing in the meantime? Are you just depressed? Because we got a lot. I've talked to a lot of young ladies who are depressed because they don't have no one. They feel like, why I don't have anybody? There's something wrong with me. They begin to take away from themselves. So we really want to build character, or just to talk about, hit some of those key areas. Some for the fellas as well. A lot of fellas have not been fathered. They don't know how to treat a woman. A lot of women don't know how to be received by a good man because they never had their father in their life. And we really gearing towards talking about relationships, because some people, we want to be in relationships, but what are some of the key things that I need to that I'm looking for when I step into a relationship? Am I just looking for the financial part? Am I looking for somebody to grow with? Am I just looking for somebody to play with? Because you have all of those aspects, and I don't believe in stringing nobody along. I believe this: if I'm not interested, I'm not going to even give you no time or the day, because I don't want you to feel something that is not there. You get what I'm saying? So you have some people who not even interested, in the aspect, and they'll string you along. Some people don't even desire. Marriage is not even on the board right now. They can't even get a relationship. Some women, we hear, oh my God, he said hi to me, I'm in a relationship. Well, he only said hi. He didn't say we going down the aisle. We didn't even get to marriage yet, because we haven't had a relationship yet. And what we're talking about now is relationship. How do I relate to you? Hearing the simple fact, me as a young woman, growing in life and knowing what I want, knowing my values, you know what I'm saying? And not saying, I'm going to erase my values and have something and then not be happy. We didn't even get to marriage. We can't even get to being in a relationship. I feel as though you either are in a relationship or you're married. For me, there is no between, my boyfriend. A boyfriend for what? I mean, you take yourself off the market because you have a boyfriend? Exactly. Are you kidding me? I didn't get a ring on my finger. You are still single. For me, this is just my personal view. You are still single until what? Until I have your last name. If my last name ain't changed, I am still single. I am still single. And I'm saying this because somebody out there, they have wasted time. And we can see now that time is not on our side. Come on now. It's either we're going to jump on board and live out life, or we're going to allow somebody in a relationship right now, I guarantee you. And they're wasting their time with something that is not. They want of the marriage and the life, but reality is they're with somebody right now. Can somebody on here tell me and tell the audience, don't waste your time? Why? Because that was me. I was that girl. I was that guy. I wasted my time. I stayed in an abusive relationship. Come on now. I stayed. I had children by him. I didn't know how to leave. And a man is saying, I stayed with her. I didn't know why. We want to tell people now, you know what? Why stay with somebody that you don't desire to be with? And if that's not you and you got the person, I want to hear from Brian. Matter of fact, because you are married. Come on, I'm looking to be married. Because you are married, and I hear you say some good things about your wife. And she ain't right beside you now, but you are saying some awesome things. When you first saw her, did you know that she was the one? Come on now, because sometimes we stay in relationships and we hope to be the one. We'll wash their clothes. We'll cook you dinner. We'll do everything trying to be wife, and we never become wife. So I want to hear from somebody who is now a husband and saying, I love my wife. I got beautiful children. I mean, he is in it to win it. And there's somebody else out there saying, I want that. And then you have somebody out here that's saying, I don't want that. And you don't have, everybody is not made to be in a relationship. And that's not for you. But those that are out here waiting to be in a relationship, or just waiting to get some clarity and say, you know what, I don't love myself. I'm depressed, or, I'm dealing with issues from my past. Am I ready to be in a relationship? I want to hear from Brian. Talk to me, because there's some women out here, they want to know. We want hope. Those that want it, we want to know that is still a king out here, because I am a queen. Do I remain where I am? Come on now, on the throne. You see the queenship. Do I remain here until my king come? Come on now, tell me some of the things, you know what I mean, that drew you to your wife.
I got you.
Real quick, before you go there, before you say anything, just one thing.
Go
I
ahead.
now understand why King said what he said concerning that he is still single.
Talk to
If we
me.
normalize that, come on now, listen. At first, I was
Talk
like,
to me.
no,
And I'm going to add on to that before Brian goes on.
but at first I was like, no. If you with me, you with me. We together. That's what it is. Here we are. But now, after what Stephanie said, my sister, she was letting us know that stop taking on titles. Okay, stop holding on to titles of situations that aren't going any farther than where they are. And I understand the richness in saying that, okay, yes, I'm in a situation with this person, or I even call it a relationship, but I'm single. And the more you embed that singleness into a person's head, and I feel as though it's important for women to do this. Now I understand. If I had known this 10 years ago, my golly gee, I'd be on the fast track, okay?
Me, you too.
If we normalize and let women know, listen, you are single until you get married, because what that is going to do is apply pressure. Because if you're in a situation with a man and every time you turn around, that woman is saying, oh, I'm single, it's going to apply pressure, and you'll know whether that man wants to marry you or if he still wants to be single too. Go ahead, y'all can have the floor.
Yes, so I'm glad you got.
Yes, right after you, then Brian. I definitely want to.
I'm glad you got what I was trying to say, and I'm glad Stephanie went into the deep ocean with it, and it's basically like I don't even want my lady that I'm with right now to get comfortable, and I don't want to get comfortable. So if I'm not married to you, there's somebody that if he could treat you better, he can have you.
Apply pressure.
And if somebody comes, they could treat me better, I'm out because I'm not married to you.
And it's not, you're not tied to that.
And there's no disrespect to her. And it goes both ways. But it does like so. But I now understand what Jody's saying. Maybe the end goal is not marriage. Maybe that long term. Maybe it could be considered long-term commitment. But I need something. And I need something on paper. I need something on paper. I need like a contract or something, whatever it is, a social contract, whatever it is. I need something. I need a document where we stand because I don't want no confusion.
No confusion.
I don't want no confusion at all. Bob Marley, he had many women, and then when he passed away, the only person he married was Rita. Rita was in charge of everything.
Wow.
Why? That's what I see. My father and mother been married for 40 years, and they didn't really, from my understanding, they was traditionally married in Africa. I'm from Ghana, West Africa, but they went to City Hall when I was an adult because he had cancer. So what happens is that marriage means something. If you say, I want to be accountable for you, or I want you to be accountable to me at my worst, legally. Marriage doesn't mean love. Once again, it does not mean love, but legally, I want you to be accountable to me, right? I want the city, I want the government, not just God. I want the government to know you accountable.
Where we stand.
Yeah, that's what marriage is.
I refuse to be the special friend on your obituary. I'm sorry.
Come on now.
I'm sorry.
It's funny because I realized, but I'm realizing that maybe it's I'm opposed to it. I'm opposed to the contracts of holding. Like I don't need anything in writing. I'm the opposite of that. I don't need anything in writing. I've had that. What I would need is actions and commitments. I don't necessarily need a certificate or somebody to sign something for me. I don't need that at all. But if the actions allude to that, if you have my back, if you're riding with me, if we're building businesses, if we're raising kids, if we're doing these things, I personally don't need a.
Jody reminds me of my homies. You know why? My homies, I don't have any kids. I'm 40, I don't have any kids, right? My homies have kids, right? They've been married. So they did that already. They just want love. She reminds me of my friends. Like, I did that already. I just want love. She reminds me of that. Is that correct? You just want love. You just want connection.
Yeah, like I don't need the hoopla. I don't need all of that. Oh, you take. Oh, I need you to do that. I don't need all of that. Like I just
want the
want,
organic feeling. So I get it.
yeah.
Okay.
Brian, what say you?
Let's hear from Brian.
What say you, Brian?
I really enjoyed listening to you guys about all this, and it is a different lens, right? I get a different lens to see things and hear things being a married man for as long as I've been married. For me, what I would say to somebody that's listening to this, I think that it may not be the paper, it may not be the formal document. That's your personal choice. I made a decision that I didn't want to hurt somebody. I think you need to really listen to what I'm saying. I made a decision that there was a woman that I was never going to intentionally try to hurt for the rest of my life. And I prayed to God that she was going to do the same to me. Now, does hurt and pain and doubt and fear come with that at times? Absolutely, because we're still humans. But my goal is to wake up every day and not hurt you. I believe that's the starting point, because that is called responsibility. If you are not responsible, then you don't need to be in a relationship anyway, because if it's sexual, if it's conversational, if it's just writing letters, if you're not a responsible person, then you are going to hurt somebody, and you potentially are going to hurt them very, very badly, even if it's emotional. And so when you're young, I get it. You're young, like we all make mistakes. When you know better, you're supposed to do better. When you know what it feels like to be hurt, you definitely should not be inflicting that pain upon somebody else. Because I do believe at our end of times that we're going to have to pay back for some of the things that we've done. And I just pray with, I'm a Christian. I ask God for forgiveness. But I would just say that when you're starting, right, you talked about when I saw my wife, it was, I loved her and she's beautiful and all that. But she set some boundaries with me. And I said, ooh, okay, I'm either going to get with the program or not. And this is a woman I don't want to hurt. Because we had like an argument when we were dating, and I was like, I think I hurt her. And I didn't like that, because this is a person I want to be with. And my maturity kicked in and said, all right, that means that's your wife now. If you choose never to hurt her, I think you found your wife. And I just wanted to share that with y'all out there that, if you believe that you still gonna hurt this person, you probably single, and y'all need to probably break up. It ain't gonna work until you make a conscious decision to not hurt that person.
Well, Stephanie, can I get a little spicy right now? Can I get spicy right now? Right now. Brian, you're the reason why Black women are doing terrible right now. Let me tell you why you're the reason Black women are doing terrible right now. Because you are an anomaly. You are an anomaly. And they use that anomaly as a symbol of hope. It's not enough for you. You're the reason why they all fucked up right now. You're the reason. Because you got, and I'm gonna be honest, your daughters are looking at you.
And we lost. Did we lose a mid-sentence? He went in so hard he got kicked out.
He went in real hard, didn't he? Because I'm gonna be honest. I listen. I don't agree with that.
I would say this. I'll just
Go ahead, Brian.
I know what he was saying, and I'm gonna say this because I think there is some truth. There is some truth in what he was saying. I know who I am, right? I know I'm a young Black man, married to his woman, married to a Black woman, beautiful Black kids. We do well in life. I get it, right? I get it, right? But I'm also not gonna like we ain't giving up hope. Like I ain't about to sit here and be like, no, go feel sad because I'm a kid from the hood. I shouldn't have made it. So if I had that mindset that the majority of us are not gonna make it out, then I'm not gonna make it out. So if you are a person who wants to be loved, you want to be in love, you want marriage, you want dating, whatever it is, you want to be in a relationship where you're not trying to intentionally hurt somebody, then still go after that. What I will say is just a little bit of a tip. You may have to be willing to be patient, and you also may have to be willing to go get in a different environment. You may have to go switch cities. You may have to go live in a different town. You may have to go to a different, start hanging out in different places, right? I met my wife. I'm an engineer. I met my wife at an engineering conference, right? I was in an environment that breeded certain people. I'm not saying that's what I was intentionally going for, but I can't be surprised that it happened because of the environment that I was in. So I just want you guys to know that I know you may be like, man, men around here or women around here, okay, well, go somewhere different. Or if you want to be married that bad, people switch cities for a job. Why don't you switch cities for a marriage? Think about that. People go to different countries for a job, and you ain't willing to do something. You ain't willing to go to it. You ain't willing to hang out at a different location for your marriage.
Right.
Like really put that in perspective, the stuff you do for money.
Yes.
And then think about how flexible you are for love. So I know that you should be selfish, but you also need to be realistic and realize that you might need to make some adjustments to get to your where you're trying to go.
Right.
Can
right.
I add to that? I'm sorry, Tori.
You fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I really appreciate you saying that, Brian, because you're absolutely correct. I mean, sometimes it does take, it's so funny because I always tell people I don't get attached to a physical location, right? So I'm willing to go to, many different places to ensure that I'm able to thrive, so you're right. Like we do take emphasis on, we do have to switch it up and go to different environments if we want to look for and meet different individuals. I agree with that 100%. And then I also kind of wanted to add on what Stephanie had said, like, what would we communicate to people that are single and trying to figure this thing out? Like, why am I still single? I find that for me in my journey, it was reaching a level of peace within myself, right? Like it was me doing the work. It was me going to counseling. It was me enhancing my career. It was me proving to myself that I am good enough for me. Let's start with that, right? Like I spent so much time trying to prove to other people that I was good enough for them. And I started to think more about me for once. And I think that the beauty in doing that is when you start thinking about you and how to make yourself happy and how to come to a place of peace and love yourself, then I think it's almost easier for people to see that in you and want to love that version of you. Because for me, at this point in time, I'm at just blissful, like peaceful happiness in my life, right? And I find that men actually are drawn to that. Like, and like some of them can't express it with their words, with their big boy words, but it's almost, I'm just like, they're like, it's just something about, and like, it's like they throw out, okay, you're pretty, you're this, you have that, like that stuff. Almost like when I have these conversations with the mature men that I interact with, they almost can't even put to words their attraction to me because it's beyond the physical at this point in time. It's not just, oh, I'm smart, I have this.
It goes back
it's
to
like
that
it's
confidence.
just something, there's something about you that is just so infectious. And I always say, it's like, I love myself. I know myself. I know what I want. I'm at peace. And I feel like that's just another notch that I wish younger women can really focus on before you're diving into the deep blue sea of unknown abyss. Get to know yourself, because I promise you, like that ray that shines. But I know a woman and a man, like I love meeting men that 100% are happy with them. They are authentically happy with themselves. And I could just tell, I'm like, yo, we are gonna mash so well together because you are so happy and I'm happy, and we have a, you know, we have a better connection. We understand things in a deeper meaning. It's no longer about how much money you make or this, like that. For me, that's a very lower level conversation that I have with a guy. I don't start with that, because those men that are not fit, that don't mash well with me, they're not in my circle. They're not in my presence. They're not in my, what do you call it? Visual, you know? So I know people in my circle already, they're already at a certain financial status. They're already able to take care of themselves. They're already, you know, like that's the ladder. So only thing I'm saying is, my advice to people, and I've been saying this for a while now, is like, know thyself. And I promise you, that love that you have within your, you know, yourself will come out, and you'll be so, you would almost feel there's a blessing in the singleness. We run away from it, but there is a blessing in it. And to me, the blessing is the opportunity to know yourself and get to love yourself and date yourself and experience those things. So when somebody else comes in, you're able to even reciprocate. Some people want to be in relationships, they can't even give the love that they want because they're so messed up. They don't know what's going on. Their life is not this. You can't even reciprocate love. So get to know yourself. If you're single, I know sometimes it sucks. You're looking at Instagram, you want to do a babecation, and you want all these things, and I get it. But in this time frame, really take the time to just love on yourself, treat yourself, go to counseling, understand who you are and what you want. Make a list, make it tangible, write it out. What do I want? Most people don't know. You know, so that's my advice if you're single and you're looking for love. And I promise you, do those things. When it comes, it's going to be magical.
Right.
Can I say something crazy? Oh, sorry.
Just real quick. I'm seeing a comment from Leela Williams that says he or she might not be in your backyard. And I just want to piggyback off of that comment alone. For those people who know me via social media, via Clubhouse, you know that my fiance is in Kuwait. And he was there when I met him. Okay, so there are certain things we have to take out, and that goes to that societal norm. People say you have to be in the same state. How can you have a relationship and not have communication and contact? And you know, you don't want to be that far. Long distance relationships don't work. Listen, mine has worked perfectly and I absolutely love it. And I cannot wait until we come together. But I will say this as well. I've heard so many people say the dating scene is trash, and I tell them all the time, stop dumpster diving. If you stop dumpster diving, you don't have to worry about that trash dating scene.
Come on now, sis.
You don't have to worry about that trash love scene that you have been exposed to. Take yourself out of the dumpster. Get yourself to a 5-star restaurant. Get yourself on a vacation. Get yourself over here in you know, stop just going to Miami on the weekend. Go to Arizona. Okay, come on. There are different people in different places. And once we get out of that dumpster mentality, and when I say dumpster, I mean our circuit, like our norm. Like,
right.
You can't say something is trash unless you've seen it and you're exposed to that. Get exposed to something new. Step out of your norm, and that way you'll find there is love somewhere. And trust me, don't sleep on these social media apps. I'm gonna just pause right there and put my
Tora, you on it. You were on it. Tora, you are so on it. That's hilarious. You're hitting it on so many different levels because you're so right. And that's why you just opened something up for me, because I kept saying, like, when I hear these girls describe the guys they're dating, I'm like, where are you meeting these guys? You know, like, you're dumpster diving. Like, I don't
They're not
expanding
their reach.
Yeah, like I don't meet these type of men that I hear girls complain about. I'm like, wow, he did what? Like, if a guy and I didn't work out, it's because we both agree that it's not going to work out. But it's never like a situation where it's like he's doing, you know, like those days are over with for me. I've had those days, but now, like you said, expand. Stop going to Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like, go other places. There's plenty of places.
Okay, Miami is not the only place that's hot.
Girl.
That's right. But we're gonna go to Brian, and then we're gonna ask everybody to have some remaining marks because we're about to wrap it up. So Brian, and then we're gonna go around the room, and y'all can have your remaining marks. Okay.
All right. Actually, I'll kind of kick off the remaining marks if you don't mind. It's all right. One, I want to say thank you for having this room and discussion today and this space. The ladies, you guys, listen, y'all were honest, right? And I hope that people that were listening to your honesty. But I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier about just don't try to use somebody as your vehicle to get somewhere, right? That ain't good. And I think it still goes back to not hurting people. I didn't know that when I was young. I never was foolish in the streets, but I was immature. I can say that. I never was reckless with women. And I got sisters, and I think that probably was how I always at least had a certain level of respect, but it don't mean everything I did was right. But I will say, once you make a decision not to hurt somebody, that's a game changer. That's a game changer, man. There's women who have children. Like if y'all got kids, y'all love y'all babies. Don't nobody gonna hurt your babies. You're gonna do what you gotta do for your babies. If you gotta get a second job, that's what you do for your baby. If your kid's sick, you get your baby some help. If your kid needs some therapy, you get them the therapy. Like you do what you gotta do. And so I just want for men, if you're listening, if there are any men out there, like think about that. Think about the way your mother cared for you and how she took care of you. And if your mother wasn't there, whoever it was that took care of you, now I want you to reciprocate that love to the woman that you're in a relationship with right now. Try to take care of her. Try to listen to her. Try to nurture her. And hopefully, and it's just hopefully, right? There's no guarantees of anything in life. Hopefully, you'll get that in return. But the one thing that you can do in life is you can control you. You can control staying in that relationship and giving it a try. And if it ain't working, leave. I love what I think it was Jody, maybe all the ladies said this tonight. Man, it's all right to leave. Me breaking up with you ain't a referendum on me, right? That's life. We quit jobs, we quit relationships. It's all right to quit some stuff in life. People tell it, don't be a quitter. Why? There's some stuff I need to leave. I've written a couple books, and I had a title. I wrote a title of one book. I was like, man, maybe I should just write a book called Quitters Do Win. Sometimes there's some stuff you need to quit. But last thing I'll say is this, and you guys I'm happy we saying this because I think when I go upstairs, I need to just remind myself to my wife that, that I love her and I thank her for everything she do, but just don't hurt nobody. Try not to hurt somebody. And it'll change the way in which you move through life. If it's your cousin, your mother, your brother, your sister, but especially who you're trying to date, try not to hurt that person, and it'll take your relationship to a whole new level.
Wow, that was awesome. That was awesome. Come on, Karen. Wow. Mm-mm-mm.
Wow, that was awesome. And I'm going to say, being a single woman, a part of this room, thank you for allowing this me to be a part. And I got to go back on what my mother taught me. When you know who you are, and she said that based on, Karen, when you know who you are and you can go out there in the world, then you'll be able to have a standard. And many of young women and women on this line, you don't have the big mamas and the mamas that had that wisdom and guidance. So I'm gonna say, as a single woman and having a son, like I taught my son, know who you are and respect and understand when you get into a relationship, there's work, there's something that you learn, there's the ups and the downs. And in that relationship, like Brian said, don't hurt nobody. Have enough respect to know that's not the person you want to be with. It's time to walk away and don't waste anybody's time. So I say to every single woman that's on this line, when you know who you are, love yourself, take yourself out to dinner. There's nothing wrong with having a standard to know that when I get into this relationship and I value myself in a woman that I am, and I can walk in anything as a friendship with my girlfriend, as a friendship, having a man in my life, just that well around base of knowing who you are to make a standard of this, what you draw to you. because I know who I am and I have that self-worth of respect to stand, to move forward, to look. If this is what I want, I can walk in this thing and have confidence in it. And every young woman that I have ever spoke to didn't have the influence. So I say to every woman, every young woman, every old woman, it's nothing wrong taking yourself out to dinner. It's nothing wrong with going on that trip. But that standard of who you are, when you know who you are, you can walk in any relationship with a standard that I'm going to respect that person, I'm going to honor that person, and we can walk together. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you, Karen. Jody, next.
Thank you, Stephanie and Tori, for having me on tonight. I appreciate you guys. Brian, Karen, you guys have been great. King, I don't know where he went, but thank you everyone for participating. I think that my parting words would be very much the same as everyone else's. I mean, I think that we all are seeking some form of love, commitment, partnership, or relationship, however you define that. I think my takeaways are define it. Let's start with that. Define what those things are for you. And I think in the definition, as Karen indicated, set those standards. You should, as Stephanie said, you should absolutely have what you want to have. If you like strawberry ice cream, you're going to be disgusted if somebody gives you some chocolate. You're going to be highly upset. So I think to get to that point, it's really about knowing thyself. And Brian mentioned, don't hurt anybody. I love that. But I think that we can add to that, don't hurt yourself, and I think that we have to master how to not hurt ourselves and to heal from past traumas and relationships so we can avoid hurting other people. Some people are so fine with hurting themselves. That is no problem to hurt other people, because ultimately hurt people hurt people. And so I think that, to get to the level of love that Brian is referring to, and commitment, where you feel like, I cannot hurt this person the same way that when you said that, I automatically, it's funny you mentioned children, I automatically said, that's how I feel about my kids. I wake up every day avoiding opportunities or ways to hurt them. I wake up every day thinking of how to help them, how to keep a smile on that face, how to make sure they are better, right? But I will say that now I'm an even better mother because I have learned not to hurt myself. And so for those that are out there that are waiting and hoping and wishing for that special one to come along, because we are talking about relationships, continue to do the work, continue to focus on yourself and the things that are around you, continue to love yourself, continue to express yourself. And I learned recently the importance of being vulnerable. There's strength in vulnerability. There's strength, for me, I hated being vulnerable. Like, you're not about to get no vulnerable, not me. Like, I'm good. I got this, oh, you don't want to be cool. Like, sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, it is okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to express the way you feel. And it's okay to want certain things for your life. So don't think that it's wrong because you want it so bad. Like, that's okay. That's you being vulnerable. And it's a strength to that. But don't want it more than you want yourself. And I think that once you've mastered that, I think you'll be farther along on your path to whatever you want your romantic life to be. So thank you guys again for having me.
Thank you. My sister Tori, come on.
Stephanie, I'm so excited. I said before, I am an advocate for all things love and healthy relationships, whatever that healthy is and whatever that relationship is to you. Jody, Brian, Karen, I thank you for this dialogue. It is important to have these conversations and to see things from different sides. I mean, I'm just one little old me who has my point of view, but when Jody comes in and says her point of view, and even for King, what he was saying, about being classified as single until you're married, like, there are some rich dialogue here tonight. Stephanie, I love you, girl, because this was real.
Back at
This
you,
was
sis.
right up my alley. This is what I love, and this is what I fight for, because I believe there are those real and rich relationships that can happen, and they involve two people. They might involve four people, you and your children, or you and your parents, or you, however it may go. But what it means is that we take a little piece from everybody and apply it to our life, because it is important to love yourself. It is important to make sure you know who you are and make your stamp on in the earth. It is important to make sure you're not hurting people, and you push and fight for that every single day. Y'all see this face? Like, I normally don't show braces, but I'm just I love this conversation because it means so much for us to have this dialogue. It's so rich, it's so real. I'm just going to say to the people that are out there looking and they want to be in relationship, one, don't settle, but know when you're satisfied. It's okay to know when you're satisfied. Two, stay out the trash. Okay. Ooh. Stay out the trash. Listen, dumpster diving is not for everybody, right? And we have to understand that. And then not only that, expand and broaden your horizons. Step out of your proverbial box. Step out of that thing that says, oh, I'm right here in this city, so the person that I meet has to be in this city with me. Let me tell you something, people. People of America, a long distance relationship is not bad, and I'm gonna tell you why. It causes you to communicate. It causes you to open your mouth and have a conversation. That telephone time, that texting, those 4 seasons you have to go through, that death and that wedding that Jody was talking about, it will take you there because you're not consumed with the lust. Okay, that's a whole nother conversation for me. When you are not consumed with lust and you're more involved with the person and the conversation of that person, the tone of that person, the dialogue with that person. Come on. Okay, I'm gonna sit down like this because I can go a whole nother 30 minutes, y'all. I'm just because this is so good. I'm so excited. Stephanie, I love you so much. We could do this all time, girl. You know where I am. Fine.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm over here clicking my mic like we on Clubhouse. Let's click.
Right? Well, I want to say, sis, I love you too. I love all of you guys. Thank you for coming out and just being a part, because reality is somebody is where we are right now. Somebody's single, they won't want to get married, they just want friendship, they want kinship. Somebody want more than others. But I just want to say, I remember hearing somebody say, just to throw this out here, there's a table for one. I heard somebody say that. I won't say their name. And there's a book out there, A Table for One. And if you are single, I just don't want you to feel depressed. Valentine's Day is around the corner. You're going to see love on the internet. You're going to see different things. But the reality is, if that's something that you want, then prepare yourself for what you want. Come on now, you got to prepare yourself and position yourself, for where you want to go. Don't feel depressed, around, the Valentine's Day or what you don't have. Just kind of focus on, write out a plan or some things that you might have to just do that table for one and say, what are some of the things that I might need to work on now? Because if I need to go to counseling because of my past hurts and stuff, let me deal with that now. So when he come or when she comes, we ain't got to waste no time with that. All we got to do is, as Brian said, what would he say, is take the journey. You know what I mean? Because that's what it is. And I really like that what he said, because that's what love is. Yes, it's not about, like you said, getting in the car. It's the journey. It's every step of the way with that person. Am I preparing? Because sometimes we can be single, but then we can be single for a long time, but don't know how to let somebody in. That's another conversation, because we live a single life. And now I got to go from living a single life to living a life of being me, him, my children and family. And some people don't know the balance of it. And that's what this takeover crossover is. It is just bringing some perspectives to you, that you're in your homes, you're in your cars, just to hear some nuggets from all of our life right now, or different walks of life. And we're just sharing some of the things that we want. We're sharing some of our ideas, some of the things that we went through in life. You know what I'm saying? And I so enjoyed every one of you on tonight. I really thank you on tonight. Oh my God, y'all just don't know, because so many people out here just need to hear that. You know what I'm saying? And even with this pandemic, there's not a lot of noise going on. There's a lot of things that we see. You know what I'm saying? That can bring depression to somebody now. Somebody feel like they're not worthy. Some women feel like I'm not pretty enough. Let me go get this, or let me go get that. Let me go, cut off that or add to this to make myself be something. Guess what? He's going to love you for who you are. Vice versa to the man. She's going to love you for you are. You don't have to take away from yourself. Yeah, it's okay to add. Come on now. We ain't telling you to come any kind of way. But when they come, you know what I'm saying? That we want you to weigh. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to do anything drastic. I am who I am. I love God. I love, talking about, things and helping people, because I was that little girl that did not know. Nobody told me. And I'm pretty sure somebody here, we had to learn the wrong way. Why? Through the wrong relationship. Some of us stay in things too long. Why? Because somebody didn't tell us. And then now we live that prodigy of hurt. It ain't because, I know it. It's because I didn't know it. And I got all the scars right here to prove it. But no, I don't have no healing. So I thank you all for just coming on. I just want to say, just a quick announcement. Saturday, I know we got to get off this thing. Saturday is another podcast at 8 p.m. You don't want to miss it. I have a special guest. You don't want to miss it. We're talking about relationships. It's Valentine's Day month, and we are going to gear this towards those that are waiting, those that are married, those that need to spice up their marriage life. We need to hear from this. We need to hear these type of topics. You know what I'm saying? So I want to thank everybody for coming on.
We're doing this again? That's what you're saying?
We're doing this again, sister. We're doing this again. If y'all in with me, y'all let me know, because it can't be a one-time thing, because you know why? We are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. If we can help the next generation not to make the same mistakes that we made, come on now, they don't have to. They don't have to stay in abusive relationships. They don't have to move too quick and think they're in love. If we can help somebody, we should. I paid the price. You don't have to pay for it. And I'm willing to give that. I'm willing to give that. Only if somebody would have said it to me. But it's all right. Sometimes you got to get hurt because it's not about you. It's about somebody else.
Though Kay says, though it was unfortunate, it was necessary.
Come on now.
That's what my sister Kay said. So, hey.
It was necessary. It was necessary. And that's why I really think Brian, he's the only guy still hanging on here. But we needed to hear that, because some women out here, they don't know. And I say, give somebody hope. Why? Why not? What else they going to hold on to if they have nothing? Are you serious? If I don't have hope, what do I have? Don't give me no hope. What? Give me hope. Tell me, Steph, there is a king out there with your name on it, girl. Tell Karen there's a king out there. Tori already got her king. Jody already got her king. Tell me. Don't right. Say, Steph, you're gonna look at your friend's picture and always feel, why not me? Or when is it my turn? Or when am I gonna be next? Or what's wrong with me? I don't want to be better. I want to be happy. All right. We got to get off of here. I thank y'all again for tuning into the Takeover Crossover. Meet me here 8 p.m. Eastern time on Takeover Crossover. Share, like, tell your friends, tell your homegirls, tell your homeboys. This is where it's going down. Takeover Crossover. Thank you.